Why has Wild Rift already failed? Riot Games, unlimited money, owned by Tencent, coming out with the mobile version of the most successful MOBA of all time, the biggest esport of all time. Let's put that gameplay right there on the screen. This game's gonna be huge, right? I mean, it's got an unlimited budget, unlimited marketing, hundreds of millions of players that are already familiar with the League of Legends IP, and this game's gonna hit the market. It's gonna be so successful, right? The answer is wrong. Absolutely not wrong. Because a game called Mobile Legends is out and is years ahead. We have the #1 Mobile Legends streamer of all time right here on the stream to tell us about their competitor that is going to crush them. Perrin, why is Mobile Legends so far ahead of Wild Rift, and why is that a bad thing for them?
I am not the #1 Mobile Legends streamer, but thank you, I appreciate that. Mobile Legends, it came out in 2016. They already have a huge head start, and this goes to a really simple concept. Is in any market, pretty much whatsoever, once you have a top player that's really out there and far ahead, once you have a king, so to speak, it is very difficult to dethrone them. I mean, just look at Twitch. Twitch is a streaming platform. It's the king of streaming platforms. It's very hard to dethrone them. So the chances that Riot Games is able to dethrone Mobile Legends with Wild Rift is actually very small. Even with their current clout in the gaming space, even with League of Legends already being huge, there's already a top player, and it's going to be really hard to unseat them. And one of the reasons why it's going to be really hard to unseat them is because gamers have spent so much money in Mobile Legends already. They're going to be not looking forward to giving up spending thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars in this game already. Why give that up to go have to do it again on another game? Let's roll the Restream intro.
This podcast is sponsored by Restream. Why live stream to one platform when you can simultaneously live stream to every platform to discover new audiences faster using Restream.io?
So on September 16th of last year, Wild Rift was released in a closed beta in the Southeast Asia. On October 8th, the closed beta returned, adding South Korea and Japan, and then the regional open beta for the Southeast Asia began on October 27th, 2020, and that is it. And that brings us to #2 on our list, the staggered release when they're already late to the market. Guys, is this going to be too little too late?
I think it is. I mean, we've been studying trends like this for a long time. And games that try to dethrone the #1 player in a market that's already been there, and we've seen them fail over and over and over and over again to become #1. Let's take League of Legends as an example. League of Legends was early to the MOBA space. They were the first big one to come out essentially after Dota. The mod on Warcraft 3 really took gamers by surprise. And then Dota 2 came out, never even came close to League of Legends. And then Heroes of the Storm came out, never even came close to League of Legends. And then a plethora of other MOBAs that you probably don't even remember came out and ultimately failed because League of Legends was already #1, right? And so now that that's the case, they're doing a staggered release to the market with this game. They need to blitz the market and get all of the attention across the globe for Wild Rift in order to get people to even pay attention to this. And the reason why I brought up those other examples a moment ago, there was a previous MOBA, it was called Heroes of the Storm. You guys probably maybe have heard of it, maybe you have, maybe you haven't. They did a staggered release as well, where they had this super long technical alpha. They slowly rolled out the game over the course of a year. And guess what? Hype doesn't build up. When you slowly roll something out, you have to hit it with a giant boom, a giant $10 million marketing campaign, blitz the market, get people excited, get everybody talking about your game if you want to try to punch through and become #1 in the space. And with this staggered release, when they're already years and years late to the market, to me, it reminds me of Heroes of the Storm and the failures of that game to become a relevant MOBA. I think we're seeing this all over again, but this time it's Riot Games that will ultimately fail. Perrin, what do you think about that?
So let's take a look at worldwide search interests, and let's see. Let's actually go look at this from a data-driven perspective. What are the chances that they're able to overcome Mobile Legends just in interest over time searching on YouTube? And right now, I mean, Wild Rift isn't actually too far away. I don't know how much Mobile Legends. Mobile Legends is actually not that high of a searched interest on YouTube. Doesn't mean that it's not super big game, but this gap is definitely doable. Like if Riot Games were to do a huge marketing singular push, they would definitely peek through Mobile Legends, but I don't know if they would I don't think they'd consistently stay above it. So right now, Wild Rift is technically not launched. It's in beta release or alpha or beta release. It's mostly only released in Eastern territories, your Philippines, Malaysia, etc. It's not released in the Western hemisphere really yet, and it's not released in the United States yet because they've staggered that. If they do, even if they do a big coordinated launch at some point, I think because it's already so accessible, I don't think you're going to see that big of a punch. And yeah, you might punch through Mobile Legends temporarily, but I think the trend will go back down, and they'll have a hard time. They're going to have to spend a lot of resources to like permanently get the interest above Mobile Legends. And I don't think that's what Riot Games is looking for with this game. I think they want this game to be a cash cow for them, not something that's going to take a bunch of their money that they're going to have to market really, really aggressively all the time. So I just don't see where the search interest is going to naturally develop either for it because of the staggered launch. I agree with you, AWOL. Ross, you have a different...
One other thing I'd like to add here is Mobile Legends has built into the actual game esports built into the game already. So you can watch the top players from around the world in Mobile Legends play the game, play against each other. You can follow anyone, do spectator mode in the game, and they've already got a full-blown competitive and esports scene just in the game already. Wild Rift, are they going to have those systems at launch? Those are extremely complex systems to put into place. You're probably going to have to go over to Twitch or go off to some other platform to try to watch this game, to watch the highest competitive players. Mobile Legends is just built into your phone. Mobile Legends is years and years. They're tens of millions of dollars ahead of Wild Rift in terms of the features and everything that's in the game. I just think Wild Rift is just, they're going to have to just dump tens of millions more into this game in development just to catch up with the basic technology that Mobile Legends has already put into place. It's really going to be an uphill climb. Back to you, Ross.
I think it should be worth pointing out that a lot of the issues surrounding the release of this is COVID-19 related. Riot Games has said that. So obviously that's put a huge damper on just the entire release. We're not expecting a beta in North America and the Western Hemisphere until March, if that. We really haven't heard anything else. So moving on, number 3 on our list, keeping some hardcore mechanics from the PC game. All right, explain to simps like me what this actually means and why this is a bad thing.
Got it. I mean, I'll just show the gameplay here. I'll talk about the one that pisses me off in this gameplay right here, and that is last hitting. So what is last hitting? So in a game like this, if you're not familiar with MOBAs, you don't play them that often. Last hitting is, there's creeps on the map, the little minions and stuff. Whenever they die around you, you get a certain amount of money that you can spend on getting items, right? But if you get the very, very, very last hit that takes the teeny tiniest little bit of HP away from that unit and you kill them, then you get significantly more money. And so in the original version of MOBAs, Dota, the one from 10 plus years ago, this was a mechanic that was in the game because they couldn't take it out. It was a part of the Warcraft 3 engine. It was a mistake. It shouldn't have been there in the first place. And that carried over to League of Legends. And so it's a hardcore mechanic, they're calling it. I'm gonna use air quotes on that. But what it really is it's just a huge annoyance. And it makes the game less fun. Like, you're this really heroic character. And as a heroic character, your job is to murder minions with a last hit and sit there and micro a little unit on the screen. Is that fun? I mean, really, the reason why people play these games is because they want to kill other heroes, right? They want to play against other players. And instead, they're unable to do that. They have to sit there and micro hitting last hits on little units and stuff. Give me a break. Putting hardcore mechanics like that in a mobile game is a huge mistake. Your screen is like this freaking big. Are you really going to be last hitting every little unit on the screen? Terrible decision to have last hitting in the game, in my opinion. Hardcore mechanics like that, that they are doing to appease the PC crowd. They're keeping those in because the PC crowd's going to be like, no last hitting, this game's a joke. Last hitting is a joke altogether. I don't like it, clearly. Perrin, what do you think?
I actually have the exact same opinion. Now, Mobile Legends technically has a little bit of that, but it's, at least from my experience, it's not nearly something that you need to concentrate so hard on. And it's not nearly that impactful. It's not impactful like it is in base League of Legends or like something like Dota 2, where it's like everything in Dota 2. The other thing is like warding around the map and having to like constantly maintain like vision and having a role that's dedicated specifically to that. I mean, on a mobile game, this really needs to come down to being much more of like an arena, heroes fighting heroes. And we've seen the whole MOBA genre kind of fall from grace, you know, in the past 10 years or so. Yeah, League of Legends is still big, but I don't think there's as many players, and the interest just isn't quite there so much anymore.
It's not. It's a downward trend nonstop for MOBAs. It's not a super relevant genre anymore.
And so you're really creating a mobile game that's a MOBA that's you know, kind of a dying breed. And if you're not going to add any spice or something new to it, it's going to be the same thing. Then it's not going to be something that's going to be hugely interesting to a lot of gamers nowadays. Will gamers play this? Sure, yeah, okay. They're going to play it. Will they have some interest? Yeah, I'm not saying like no one's going to care, but generally speaking, the interest in MOBAs has declined, and I don't see it coming back in any way. Battle royales are the new thing, and clearly, and this isn't going to compete with that in any way, and it's not going to change the landscape. So in terms of hardcore mechanics, I mean, hopefully they take enough away. I do think they've shrunk the map a bit. That's another thing. The maps are huge. It takes one game can take 40 minutes to an hour in normal MOBAs, which is one reason why I think it's started to fall from popularity. And in Mobile Legends, it can take 10 minutes, 12, 15 minutes, because the map is smaller. They made it more accessible. I'm pretty sure Riot Games is doing that here with Wild Rift. It looks like the games are going to be shorter and more impactful, but we'll just have to see how many other major hardcore mechanics they bring over. I hope it's not too many, because it will kill the game. Ross, what's next on the list?
Number 4 on the list is trying to retrofit a PC game onto mobile instead of building mobile first. I think we have to say every episode that the future is mobile. You can just look at live streaming, look at the top games, look where all the money is going. So why would Riot Games make this move?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously what they're doing is they're taking a PC game and they're trying to mobilize it. And we just talked about this a moment ago. What they really need to do is they need to build a game from scratch for mobile on mobile. And that would make their game easier to play on mobile. That's what Mobile Legends did, actually. It took inspiration from games like League of Legends, clearly, but then they just made it a mobile-first game, designing it entirely for the mobile experience. Super short games, easy to kill creeps, easy to buy items, easy to do everything in the game and to understand what's happening, to join up with your friends, etc. And by making it a mobile-first in this genre, they are able to make a game that is a superior experience, essentially. And so I'm concerned that Wild Rift is going to try to bring in some of those kind of League of Legends-y type of things, if you will, from PC, and be like, well, we need to please our PC audience here, and we need to kind of keep these things in the game, or they're going to be used to XYZ that you normally see in League of Legends, and how do we make a mobile version of that? People don't want a mobile version of that ultimately. You need to give them a game that's designed for mobile first, and is designed to be a fun experience on mobile, and ultimately people are going to not really have the best experience if you just try to do a mobile version of a game that's designed for PC. Now, one thing that you could make an argument for is a game like Fortnite, for example. They took a PC game and they brought it onto mobile, and then that game was wildly successful on mobile. So you could say, you know what? There are exceptions out there, and it is possible to take a PC game and to make a mobile version of it and to have it be a good experience. But what I'd say about that is this. Fortnite, just as an example, Fortnite Mobile, wildly successful. It is a first-person shooter. It is way easier to understand what's going on a mobile phone in a first-person shooter than it is in a MOBA. I mean, if you look at the amount of little teeny tiny little characters and items and icons that are on the screen in a MOBA, look at this. Like on the screen right now, there's like literally like 75 icons whenever they pull up the item menu. That is horrible mobile design, really, for real. 75 icons on the screen. I mean, you've got like 5 inches of real estate on that screen to see what's going on. Little damage numbers. Sometimes there's like over 150 elements on the screen at any given time. MOBA as a genre is not designed for mobile, and so simplifying your game as much as possible is the only path for success if they want this game to be a 1, 2, 3, 5 year banger for them to make them a bunch of money. What's your thoughts on that, Perrin?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to interact with on a small screen. One of the only ways I stream Mobile Legends is because I actually stream it from PC from an emulator where I can blow everything up and I can see everything more clearly. And that's Mobile Legends, which is much more simplified because it's designed for mobile. And I think most gamers nowadays, I mean, they're not looking for something like this. And so I don't see how Wild Rift blows up. I mean, you're making a really, really good point that I can't disagree with. Look how many things are on this footage right now. And yeah, this is like...
Look at the screen, man. When they pull up the item menu, dude, there's like... Oh, you have like 10 players money, 10 players first item, 10 players second item, 10 players third item. There's like 125 things to look at in these menus. What the F? On your phone?
The fact that you even have to be checking menus, the fact that you even have to be doing that stuff in the first place. And yeah, that's part of how MOBAs work, but that's also part of why MOBAs have kind of fallen from grace, is that this complexity, it's great for esports. It's great for like gamers who are really trying to be competitive and they need all this stuff. But that type of environment, like so many more of us gamers are just watching League of Legends esports. I think so many less are trying to be, pro tier MOBA players. I don't really think that's much of a thing, at least on the Western Hemisphere anymore. I do know on the Eastern side, this type of game is still pretty interesting. But even you can tell even with Mobile Legends, that even with that, I mean, the popularity of this stuff is not great, and these are reasons why. I mean, look at trying to understand the map where there's 4,000 icons, especially when they're all together fighting right now. Can you even, like, a pro can probably understand what's going on, but you got to think your average gamer. How do we make this attractive to someone? How do you make this attractive to someone who's never played a MOBA before? How do you get them to understand it quickly? You're not going to be able to. And the chances of them going to a simpler game that they can understand very intuitively, very quickly, is kind of high. So Riot Games has their work cut out for them in this regard. I don't see how they can simplify this even more, well, unless you just click like one. You get rid of the minimap entirely, which then you can't. MOBAs are just too complicated of a game. I don't think you can simplify it anymore without like breaking the concept.
This is kind of weird. I feel like we're almost going down a road of like MOBAs are doomed because the future is mobile. Like, that's just a fact. Like, the genre itself is designed to be a PC only genre, and you can do maybe an okay, mobile version of it, but I'm concerned. I'm concerned about the future of MOBAs in general. And I see that you're pulling up on the screen right now of League of Legends as a trend, just to see how it's going over time, and take a look at this yellow line. It is not doing well. It's dying, clearly. Like, yeah. MOBAs as a genre is dying. It's on the way out. And so for them to be going mobile now and thinking, this is the way for us to keep our franchise alive, I mean, it seems to me that interest in the genre is just dying. Very, very sad. Moving on to the next thing, Ross.
Well, the next thing on our list is actually our $1,100 giveaway. We encourage everybody to join. This is a huge giveaway. We go big when we do giveaways. We're giving away a Rodecaster Pro podcast production studio, a Procaster microphone, a professional studio boom arm, microphone shock mount, a pop filter to go with it, 3-month standard license for Restream.io, and a 3-month TubeBuddy Legend license. This is fantastic. This is all the gear that we use. It's an $1,100 value. I'm tossing a link in the comments right now. All you have to do is go in there and enter. You can have a chance to win this amazing gear. Moving on, number 5, more expensive to market to mobile gamers than PC and console gamers. And just based on everything you guys just said on number 4, that does not bode very, very well for a Wild Rift here.
Perrin, you're the advertising guy. Explain to everyone in layman's terms why this matters.
Okay, it's very simple. In advertising, getting clicks and conversions, and I'll explain that in a second, on mobile is far more difficult than desktop, but advertising is far more common on mobile. Conversions means an advertiser pays to have an ad placed. A user clicks on that ad, downloads Wild Rift, makes an account, logs in. That's a full conversion. It'll be tougher for them to it'll be more expensive for them to get conversions purely on mobile, which is the only place they're going to be able to do it with Wild Rift because it's a mobile game. So just by its nature of being on mobile, customer acquisition costs are going to be increased. So they're going to have to spend more money to get the same amount of users that they would have to as for League of Legends advertising. So that Riot Games has a lot under their belt in terms of games and architecture and other things that they're doing, but how good are they at marketing mobile? Do we know? Really? Is this their first foray into that, and how good are they going to be at it?
They have Teamfight Tactics on mobile.
Yeah, I mean, Teamfight Tactics, I'd say average popularity. I don't say it's not like amazing, but it's not a total failure. So
that's good. It's not a total failure. One thing I'd like to say about this is, yeah, with the extra cost, so they're doing the staggered release like we mentioned a moment ago with the game, and they're trying to figure out how to market this thing worldwide. So they're slowly rolling it out around the world. People are hearing about it, they're checking it out, they're seeing it's not very relevant, or they're seeing I can't even play it. And so when it's time to bring awareness to it later, how are you guys going to get people excited? Because of the staggered rollout worldwide, they're actually going to have to spend even more money to get people excited about it, because they've already heard about the game. Most people can't access it, they can't play it with their friends, it's not ready. So now you have to like increase your marketing budget by 50%. Maybe even more than that to get people re-excited about the game. I mean, people's first impressions of a game and that first initial marketing push for the game is what makes them excited about it. Look at Cyberpunk 2077 as an example, right? That game had 8 million pre-orders because of the marketing hype and all of that. You kind of get one chance to market a game and to make a big impression to get people excited and wanting to play it. And if they see it, they can't play it. They see it again, they can't play it again. They see it again and they can't play it again. You might not be able to spend enough money in the world to get them excited about it. You kind of already fucked up the opportunity. Back to you, Ross.
Moving on, number 6, the pre-release hype is low. And I just pulled up on Google, actually. I just searched the news to see what the most recent news articles were. And outside of them announcing a $200,000 competitive circuit in the Philippines to start later this year, the only thing that we've heard about in the North American market, it was an article from a month ago, just announcing that they were going to be opening the beta in the North American market in March. And that is all we've heard. So to say that the pre-release hype is low, I think low is even giving them a lot of credit here.
Yeah.
They're not even doing much on like their YouTube channel. It's just, champion overviews. And they had like one event a month ago called the Pentaboom Showdown, which I think had some like pro players in a tournament, which is some of the footage we've been showing you. But
it's like they're not even taking the game seriously. Like they're just kind of this reminds me, guys. This reminds me so much of Heroes of the Storm. What you just showed on the YouTube channel. This is exactly like Heroes of the Storm, where and as we found out later, the reason why this YouTube channel sucks and they're not getting a lot of views is because they don't have a budget to market the game. They would be doing more to market the game if they had a bigger budget, but they just don't. And that's that. So what should you know? Why does that matter to the creators that are watching this or the players out there? This is a huge indicator of the success of this game moving forward. Mobile games only keep a player base if they get millions of dollars dumped into them every month, just constantly shelling out cash into the game and feeding new players in there. That's the only way they survive. If they don't have a budget to market this pre-release, like a good 10, 20, 40, 50, $100 million budget to market this pre-release, do you think they're gonna have one after it releases? It's gonna be even smaller after the game releases. I'm concerned right now that this game's gonna launch. They're going to kind of keep it up and running. It's going to be a little small niche game. The player base, you may even struggle with queue times. That's the kind of situation we may be running into on this game. As it stands right now, all the facts we see in front of our eyes is that Riot Games is not looking to put much money into this game from a marketing standpoint. What they're telling me by the amount of money they're spending on marketing on it right now and the amount of videos they're making in the campaign is that they don't feel very confident in their own game. If they did, they'd be dropping millions into marketing videos, and they're not. That's a huge, massive red flag for this game and its viability from a streaming and creator standpoint as well. Back to you, Ross.
We are brought to you by Restream.io. Why stream to one live platform when you can stream to all of them? Going live on every single one of them using Restream.io. We're streaming right now on Facebook Gaming, Twitter, Twitch, Trovo. We've actually got some people from Trovo in the comments, which is awesome. Use the code in the comments, drop one for 30% off your first month. Number 7 on the list, both games are under Tencent's ownership, and one is already number 1. Perrin,
Oof.
we've seen this with Tencent before, that if it's not coming in and not profitable, and they've already got something within the same genre that's majorly more profitable, that everything else is just going to kind of take a back seat. And it looks like Wild Rift is about to be put in the back seat.
Imagine you are in the boardroom with Tencent, with the execs discussing this. Of course, you probably like a little bit of internal competition so that maybe Mobile Legends, your top player, can stay on their toes. But you're not wanting them to be unseated by someone internally. And I don't see, I mean, for that reason, that basically says permanently Wild Rift will never be number 1 because they're both owned by the same company and they already have number 1. It's in Tencent's interest to keep Mobile Legends as the number 1, as number 1. I mean, why would you not? You're making tons of money off of it. It's your number 1 player. You want Wild Rift in there to beef up your number 1, not to unseat it, not to dethrone it. At least that's my take. I mean, I am not Tencent's executive CEO, but yeah, if it were me there, that would be the way I would think about it. You know, so if that's the case, I mean, going kind of back to something you were saying, AWOL, you can see that there's not a lot of marketing money being spent. I mean, if we go to their channel, we can see they have had some big hits. Like they have had some cinematic trailers, and we know how Riot Games is good with their cinematic trailers. They've only done like, what is it, one major one here that got 47 million views, which is huge. That's a really good one. But I think that's because they have a fan base for their animation now, more so than necessarily the interest in the mobile game.
Yeah,
itself.
The game isn't that interesting. Exactly.
I think people are just interested in the cinematic. But they have had one, so that is a marketing effort that cost them lots of money to make that. So that's one big push. I think their play here is to just make the mobile version of League of Legends and have it just make passive money for them as a mobile game. They want that mobile game money coming into their company for Riot Games. They don't want to have to spend hundreds of millions, $1 billion on marketing this thing out the gate. I don't think that's their plan. Their plan is to put it on the shop, use the League of Legends brand, which is why it's called League of Legends Wild Rift, by the way. It's called that because they want that brand recognition to sell it on the store, not because they want to put tons and tons of money into advertisements. Not that they won't. They will advertise it on the stores, Apple Store and Google Play, but they're not going to be sinking multi-million-dollar budgets into it. They want this to be a cash cow for them. They're not necessarily looking for it to be the #1 mobile game of all time. Guaranteed. They want to make money off of it. So expecting it to unseat Mobile Legends, whenever that's not their plan as a company, it's not happening. It's not happening at all.
Perfect transition into our number 8. It doesn't appear to be making that much money for Riot Games, AWOL. I mean, is this going to be a situation where just get your money back, get the production cost covered, and then just try to pocket a little bit out of the gate?
Yeah, I think the game is it's in bad shape. I'm sorry for people that think that this is going to be big. I don't think it is. Think about what we just told you a moment ago. Whatever marketing budget they do have, which is tiny, the reason why it's tiny, these companies make these decisions. I've been in the boardroom of companies that make decisions on where to spend money, and you spend money on things that are making money. And what they're seeing initially, what I'm going to speculate here, and this is based on my business experience, they've rolled this game out, they've tested monetization on it, they've tested to see how well people are willing to buy microtransactions, how much it costs to advertise to people to get them to install this game, and the numbers aren't good. And one thing I'll add to that is, one reason why the numbers probably aren't good is that they can't target Mobile Legends, the #1 competitor, for advertising. They can't target Mobile Legends because Mobile Legends is owned by the same company. They're not going to run ads to steal business from themselves. So that's the challenge that this game has. It has to steal business from itself to get business. Mobile Legends and Wild Rift are owned by the same company, Tencent. And so if they can't target the #1 mobile MOBA to try to get players, if they can't advertise to take players from that, then where the fuck are they going to get the players from? This game is doomed from a marketing standpoint. In mobile games, what are they? They're cash cows that need big marketing. This game is screwed. I don't see any scenario. How are you going to get traction with your game and grow that player base and make it really big if you can't even get players from the #1 game in the genre because you're forbidden from doing it because you literally own the #1 game in the genre? So like you said, maybe they can just mine out whatever people are left that are willing to move from PC to mobile. Cool. That's going to happen. They're going to play it a little bit and they're going to go, I don't know, seems all right. And the game will fade away and from relevance and will ultimately die a sad and quiet death. Back to you, Ross.
Wow, what a great way! What a great way to end the episode. Wow. A great way to end the week. You know, if you were considering doing content creation or live streaming anything around Wild Rift, and now you're starting to have questions after talking to us, there is something that you can do to get a leg up, and it's called booking AWOL Digital for coaching. AWOL, talk about your coaching for a second before we get the hell out of here.
Yeah, I'm happy to. So you guys can go to my website, awoldigital.com, and you guys can click right here. You just book me for coaching. You tell me your goals, you tell me your challenges, you tell me what you're looking to accomplish, and I can help you in a 1-hour session narrow down what you're trying to do to the best topics, the best strategy, which avenues you should be releasing content on, help you tweak that in so you can focus in on making content and building an online business that will actually pay the bills and help you go full time. I've helped dozens of creators go full time over the last 10 years. And every single day I'm coaching Facebook gaming creators, Twitch creators, YouTubers, and also people that are just trying to do a digital version of their regular business. And now with COVID, things have gone crazy and they're trying to make this thing happen online. awoldigital.com, book me for one-on-one coaching and I can create with you a custom strategy just for you. Ross, let's end this episode on a high note. Say something exciting and happy to end this episode.
We don't really want this to fail. I think that needs to be said. I think all three of us can agree that we'd like to come back in 1 year from now and be like, wow, we were dead wrong. Because we know all the work that goes into making a video game. We want them to succeed. We like League of Legends. We like it being a part of gaming. Unfortunately, we just don't see an angle or a path that they can take to find as much success, especially as what they did at the first one. We will be back next week. Next Tuesday, we're going to be back. Have a great weekend. Happy content creating, everybody.